Gents, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for having me in this studio and recommending it to me.
It's all right.
It's our home, innit? Our local.
We get a kickback, do we?
Yeah.
Do we get kickback? Yeah, I think we get money back. Yeah.
Everybody's using it though. No.
Everyone, unfortunately.
We're gonna have to move unless
we do start a trend. We've noticed quite a few times that we do something and people just start to copy it and like, oh, it's original. You know, we're sat here coming up with all these ideas and people just copy it. But,
it's a slightly more wholesome version of influencing than we're seeing in other parts of Dubai though, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people doing influencing in Dubai that's probably not quite as...
I will get my bum out now. If I have to.
If enough money's put down on the table.
Yeah,
this might be the first episode that I've had to put behind the paywall.
Yeah. Hey, OnlyFans, it's probably a link in the description. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah. You're already sponsored by it, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Dried up a little bit the last few years.
Interestingly, when I've spoken to people who have done OnlyFans, they find that it starts off really well and then their subscriber base get more and more extreme tastes over time and start to ask for more and more and more, so stuff can get even more weird. So,
like what?
Not to
dropped
name
himself
any names.
in it now, and he's dropped himself.
Oh no, I'm fine with that. It's fine. We just won't say who the girl was. So she started off with just your standard nudes or whatever else, and then she was getting sent outfits to like dress up in and take photos and videos in. Right. Yeah. But the outfits started to get progressively weirder and weirder, and she was getting asked to dress up as like a baby and stuff like that.
Wow,
so it was like it's like properly like a mess that, wasn't it?
What's worse than a baby?
Surely like a sheep or something.
Where'd you go from there? Like animal,
sheep,
bestiality,
animal, surely.
That's a problem, isn't it?
Is that even worse? Probably just as bad, I'd say. Yeah, there you go.
On an equal footing.
I'd say dressing up as you is probably slightly worse.
Nah.
Yeah. Nah. I don't know why, but clown came into my head.
Clown.
I wouldn't like to see a clown. I don't know. I'm not even that scared of clowns.
What was that film? The guy down the drain. What was that called? Yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah, I literally didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I don't really like horror films because I just don't understand why you would go into something being like, I'm going to try and cause myself upset. Yeah. Like I do that every single leg session, but that's from like a place of like, I've got tiny legs, I'm trying to grow them. Yeah. Not, I'm going to scare myself watching this film.
I don't like horror.
No.
They're just too predictable. Oh, something's jumpy, whatever. I feel like I'm too macho to go into the cinema and watch that. Just in case it does scare me. I don't want to admit.
When it does scare you. Yeah,
it didn't even scare me. Why is there popcorn everywhere?
Yeah.
You've got a reputation
why are you crying? Yeah. Why are you crying? What's that?
Yeah, I'm not crying. But yeah.
But Biceps and Banter, where does that come from?
Oh, do you know what? We were with another company at the time, and we were looking to start a YouTube channel because we were actually looking at breaking away from them, all this sort of stuff. But anyway, we literally started a YouTube channel. We were like, right, what should we call it? Because it has to have a name. We can't just be Dan and Mike. It's boring. And it was literally the first name we came up with. We tried loads of names, didn't we? We were like, we had Biceps and Banter. We were like, what about something like Biceps and Banter? And we were like, oh, that sounds a bit shit. And then we went through like, I must have been hundreds after that. We spoke to loads of different people that were like, oh, I quite like the first one. And it's only quite embarrassing now when you have to give someone your email address and you're like, oh,
it's a little bit cringe, isn't it?
It's a bit cringe now.
It's a bit cringe because you go, because there's a weight of expectation when you call yourself Biceps and Banter. Because they look at you, especially, and go, okay, that's one off. You must be Banter. And then they talk to me and go, no, he's not that either.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Just a camera guy. That's what I was. Yeah. At the time.
But yeah, I find it cringy with the email address, like, oh, Mike at Biceps and Banter.
They go, what, sorry? And you go, Mike at Biceps and Banter. And they go, oh, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's quite British, isn't it? Banter.
Yeah.
We were just like, I think we just went with something that we just wanted it to be. Obviously, we're in fitness. We wanted to just describe exactly what we were about. And we couldn't find anything else, basically.
Interestingly enough, I used to hate the word banter at the time that we created Biceps and Banter because I didn't like people. It was at the time where people were saying like top bants, like Bantosaurus Rex and stuff.
What was
like
that guy called? Dapper Laughs.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he was all about the banter, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's
the lad banter.
Yeah, it was Bants. It was just Bants, wasn't it?
Bants, and I didn't like it, but there was nothing else that I could think of that began with B to match.
Alliteration is a powerful tool as well, and needs to have.
It's the only tool that we've got, isn't it?
It is. But people know it now. You say the name, and everyone knows who you're talking about. So it kind of worked, I suppose, from a branding point of view. But it was.
And what led up to that point? Then you two knew each other from a previous job.
Work colleagues, acquaintances, probably. It's probably
yeah. So
to like each other.
Can we swear?
Of course you can.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
We've been talking about OnlyFans, potentially bestiality, people dressing up as clowns. We're good.
That's a start, isn't it? That's
the start.
That's the teaser clip.
They've all switched off.
Yeah, they've gone. Yeah. So Dan's been around a lot longer than me. a few years. So Dan worked in professional football, sports scientist for some poor teams, Hull
City, Liverpool, Reading.
You don't know about football though, being Scottish, do you?
No, I support Rangers. So I say
the rugby team, is that Rangers?
Yeah,
the rugby team.
like that.
Europa League finals last year, gents. Just remember that. Yeah.
What's the Europa League?
How are they getting on in the World Cup? We did all right though. Didn't we last night?
I saw that last night. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. We'll see.
So I actually went to watch him, amongst others, at a...
Mainly because of me, though.
No, I didn't even know who you were, to be honest, but I was going because Ben. I went to watch him at a seminar. Can you remember Body Type Nutrition?
No? Okay. Bring me up to speed.
Bleep that name out because we don't want that name plugged. That's all right. They're okay. So Dan used to work in a company there with a few other guys, and I kind of really respected the company. Used to listen to all their podcasts and so on and so forth, and got offered a job there, which I was delighted with. So by virtue of that, we kind of met, I guess. We went to a couple of seminars together.
Yeah.
And me, Dan, two other guys broke away from that brand and started a different company together. And there was 5 of us in total because Laura came on board. So we worked together for about two years in a different capacity to what we do now. And kind of like the rest of the team were based in Bath, I was based up north. So I would have to travel down and I would always stay at Dan's. So we became quite close, especially when I clogged his toilet up. That's a make or break of a friendship. So
he's too big for me to fight him, so I just have to accept the fact that he clogged the toilet.
Yeah, so. Dan, get your hand down there.
Yeah, he was
no, I put my hand down. I'm a gentleman.
Whoever makes the mess has to clean it up.
I did clean it up.
These are the rules.
He did, yeah.
I did clean it up. It was horrendous though. You know, like when you don't know somebody that well yet, and he had a little 1-bed flat. And I was dieting at the time, so I was like prepping for a show.
Cauliflower rice, like up to here.
Yeah. So I have such a big appetite, right? I used to have to fill myself up with tons of veg. So I think my fibre was like 80 plus per day. And we were out on a walk getting steps up. So fitness, isn't it? That is steps up.
That is a different life.
Like your peak fitness life, then, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a different life completely now.
Life, yeah, it's changed now. But we were out getting steps. So I was like, oh God, I need the toilet. So I went back, and Dan's little 1-bed flat in Bath. So I'm literally sat on the toilet here. The door's here, and probably the sofa's where you're at. So you're pretty self-conscious of anything happening, any noises and whatnot. And so I did the deed. It was, a lot of fibre, Flush the toilet. Oh my God, it's right up to there's a meniscus on top of it. It's that high. Good word.
Yeah.
It had risen up, so I'm panicking, obviously, sure. This guy doesn't really know me, whatever. About to flood his house with, my shit, basically. This podcast's going off, isn't it?
It's going really well, mate.
Started with me to continue.
So what's the next logical step that you would have, what you would go through? What's the next thing that you would do if the toilet's backed up like that? What would you do? Just...
I'm quite direct, so I would probably share with Dan what was going on. Did you?
Would you?
Yeah.
No, I've got to fix it myself.
You see, this is the. I would take your view.
See, I don't come to people with problems. I come with solutions.
Yeah.
You have created quite a big problem there.
He is the problem. Yeah. A lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So my next logical step is use the toilet brush and jam it down. Right. So I look. Where's the toilet brush? Oh, there's no toilet brush. He doesn't have a toilet brush because his missus doesn't believe in them. She says they're unhygienic.
Unhygienic, she said.
Yeah, well, not that unhygienic though, is it? when you've clogged the toilet and you're in need of something to jam it down.
It's not what it's for, is it?
So. Well, no, but it's to clean the toilet. So technically, so I manned up, sleeve came up, arm in, round the U-bend, prodded it through.
Yeah.
Sorted it.
That's why I don't shake his hand anymore.
Yeah.
You did when he came in, obviously.
Yeah. I didn't know this story yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's still there. Gave it a good old clean. Came out obviously moderately embarrassed because they're sat there. And I did tell Dan the story, and Dan was like, "Oh, you should have just come out. I'd have given you a whisk." Oh, fucking hell, a whisk!
break up with.
I ain't having fucking scrambled eggs at yours
Break up,
anytime
mate.
soon.
Yeah.
Goodness me, that's grim.
Yeah.
And that was like, that made us closer.
Did that bring you together?
That story brought us together,
say.
yeah. Because from that point on, I said, look, if anything ever happens like that again, just tell me and we'll sort it out. Yeah. You know, don't try and be a hero, do it yourself.
Well, I'm now actively trying to clog the toilet.
And that's why I'm now his carer, effectively, because he can't go anywhere without me. Yeah. So that's the story.
So, yeah. So we were there, we met, we worked together. Me and Dan had very, I think, similar ideas of what we thought fitness should be, or what we thought, I guess, social media and marketing should be. And it was different. It was different to the other couple of people. It was just kind of fractured, wasn't it, in terms of the thought processes behind stuff. So we were becoming increasingly. I
think it was that, and also like because we'd spent that time together socially outside of work, we liked the same, you know, films, TV, sense of humor. We had this, and even like down to work ethic and like down to just how we saw the world. We were just like. Every time we're like, why are they doing this? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not focused on this? And just got to the point where, like I said, it was just a case of socially and also at work, we were like, why are we not just doing everything? Because we think the same way. We're harder workers than the rest of them, which we were. It just got to the point where we were like...
Were there any particular tipping points where you're like, right, we need to go now?
Yeah. There was one, wasn't there?
We tried to launch, I think, a product or coaching or something at the time. We were midway through a launch.
And just about to start a launch.
Start a launch, yeah. And me and you had planned it out, hadn't we?
Well, we'd had a few previous launches that hadn't gone very well. And we were like, why are we going to do the same fucking thing over and over again? Like, just do it this way. We read up a little bit more on things like marketing, copyright and all that sort of stuff, a little bit more at that time. Not like to the level we're at now. But we knew a little bit. And me and Mike were like, we're going to do it this way. We're going to plan it out like this. This is how we're going to do it.
Got the videographer involved, didn't we?
Yeah, we got like videos shot. We got all this stuff done. We planned it all out with dates and everything like that. And I was in Paris, wasn't I? Yeah, I was away at the time. You were away.
I'd gone to Tenerife.
That was it. So Mike had gone on holiday. I was away working with someone. I was personal training someone in Paris. Don't worry about it. It just took me there. That's another story for another time.
That wasn't like the OnlyFans thing where the girls get taken on the boat here, is it?
No, not as good as that, unfortunately.
No.
But never mind. And we were both away at the time when this launch was going to happen. It was all scheduled. It was all done. And at like the last minute, the guy that we worked with, well, technically 4, I suppose, looking back, but we thought it was with at the time, changed it all at like the last minute before this first email was about to go out before I had to launch it. And he just absolutely fucked it up. Like, everything it goes against everything you should do in marketing, basically, like in terms of that.
And so there was 5 coaches, and we got 4 people signed up.
Yeah, and we were hoping for like 25 or something, 30 or something like that.
Yeah, which was horrendous. Wasn't it?
And it was the fact that he'd done it when we were both away,
behind our back,
almost behind our back. And I remember texting you, and we were like, "I'm done." We were just like, "We're done." When we get back, we're done.
It was also quite derogatory towards me. Like, I felt quite. Because I was like...
Understandably.
Understandably. I'm a moron. I was quite sweary and quite... Just I guess, different to what he would like to have been. He presented like a polished, clinical, what he perceived as professional type approach, whereas I preferred to be more professional in my actual coaching delivery or my job. And with my marketing, I wanted to relate to more people. Which was the direct opposite, because he wasn't particularly professional in his job. And he got to a point where we were getting sponsored or something, weren't we? By, remember the guy who was...
Yeah, clothing.
The clothing. And he told the guy, he was like, "Don't worry about Mike, I'm going to tone him down." I just thought, fucking what? And then Harry, our videographer, was watching one of my Instagram stories. I think it was Snapchat at the time, Snapchat stories. And he was like, "Don't watch that in this office, in our office. Don't watch this. Don't watch that in the office."
That was because it's when you'd been away on holiday and
drunk.
you were pissed and you're on your stories drunk and you were telling like a funny story.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Mum, don't watch this," or whatever. Yeah. And it was fucking hilarious, like hilarious stuff. And you must have had like hundreds of people reply to the stories, whatever. And he was like, "You can't be like that. You have to be professional. You can't portray this stuff." And we were always like, "Yeah, but people like
you
that.
can build a serious connection with people by showing that side of your life as well."
Look at James Smith.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, it was at that moment we just were like, this is completely wrong. we can't keep doing it like this. We need to do our own thing. Because at that point, we'd started doing little videos on our own. Facebook was big at the time then. And like we were doing videos on Facebook. A bit like this, me and him just sat on the sofa, just taking the piss out of random fitness stuff. Going really well. Like at the time, Phil Learning was obviously quite big, and he shared a couple of them, and he was like, "Oh, they're really good," and saw us at Body Power. And again, this guy thought he was like the bee's knees a little bit. I thought he was bigger than other people. He wanted to be known in the industry. And like he had Phil Learning coming up to us at Body Power asking for like a chat, and people asking for us for photos. And this guy was like, "Why is he asking for me for a photo?" And it's like, and he thought he was like, he was speaking at Body Power, so he should have got, you know, a photo.
Yeah.
And people coming up to us and like shouting random shit at us because they've been watching our YouTube videos, and we were like,
things that they've heard you say before. That's true fans, isn't it? When they remember something from your content and they bring
like
it up
someone we were walking past Body Power, and at the time we'd done YouTube videos, and obviously Mike just take piss because I got no hair, and we were walking past this booth, and this guy just randomly says, "Oh, Dan, I've got a wig down here for you," like that. And I was just like, "All right, mate, cheers," like that. Walked off and went, "Is that one of your clients, Mike?" And he went, "No, I don't know who the fuck the guy is. I've never heard of him." And we were both like, "What?" Yeah. And that's when we realised, we were like, "Hang on a minute, that's a bit weird."
He was on the PhD stand, wasn't he?
Yeah. And it was like, and it must have been from YouTube. It wasn't from Instagram or anything like that. And that's when we realised the YouTube videos were like starting to reach people. And we were like, just from us having a laugh. Literally, we used to just film a video of us pissing around, talking a bit of nutrition, but mainly just like what we do in a day and stuff like that. And it was from there we realised, we were just like, we can do something with this. We can take this somewhere.
What about relieving yourself in an Audi? What role did that play in setting up the business?
Go on, tell the story.
Would you relieve myself in an Audi? Is that this? Okay. This is my job. I'm just tasked to talk about
all your stories, mate. They're not my stories, are they?
Well, we've talked about poo. Let's talk about.
Okay, so I guess all right. So this was another time.
This is when he realised he couldn't do the journey anymore.
Yeah, this is when as I said, I used to live up north. We had an office in Bath as a collective company, right? And this particular story happened on the journey down. Another contributing factor to us leaving was the fact that we'd been given, we got this office, we'd all chipped in for an office or whatever. I'd moved my life down to Bath, moved away from my family, whatever. And within about 3 months, 4 months or something like that, Steve, the guy who we had a particular problem with, got rid of the office without telling anybody. And I was like, I've only moved down because we said we were going to work from this office, film videos, so on and so forth. No, we don't need an office. Okay, so what am I doing in Bath then? Like type vibe. But anyway, so I'm driving down to Bath. Got an Audi TT at the time because I was going through a little bit of a phase. And
soft top. Let's make sure people know. It's a soft top.
Yeah.
Audi TT.
Hairdresser car.
Yeah, exactly that. In case fitness failed, I was going to go into hairdressing. And at the time, and I'm still weigh quite a lot. It's a different composition now. I was quite big at the time, ish, to some extent.
Can you imagine how he looked in an Audi TT?
In an Audi TT, yeah. And it's got the really low bucket seats, sport seats, so you're sat quite sunken down into it. Great as a driving experience. Not great in a traffic jam when you're needing the toilet. So the trip from Sheffield to Bath was about 4 hours anyway. Hit the traffic Monday morning, bad traffic, and I was so annoyed. I was actually shouting at myself in the car, like, "You fucking idiot! Why haven't you just gone to the toilet?" Like, I'm really getting like upset with myself because I'm like in desperate times. You ever needed the toilet like so much, it's like hurting, like that type, and we're going absolutely nowhere fast. So I'm like, what can I do? Like, what can I do? The bottle, passenger footwell. I'm like, I'm gonna have to do it. So pulls it. Again, like having a little look around because people can see into an Audi TT. It's quite low if there's any lorries, whatever. So I'm thinking, fucking hell. So anyway, gets the little man out, very little man, and you know, because you're sat so, because you're sat so low, you have to like bend it over to get the flow. You're not going to wee upwards because you're sat so sunken down. So you bend it over, bottles in. Oh, it's better, isn't it? Oh, that's nice. Thank God for that. Panic over. pull it out of the bottle and straighten it up to obviously put it away. But because the pipe is the urethra,
that's the physiological.
That's it.
He's done his level 3.
Yeah. Is obviously bent from where I've done it. There's still some in the pipe that have been blocked. Imagine bending a hose like that. Same length as a hose. Imagine bending a hose. There's still a little bit in it. So as I straighten it up, shoot straight out the top, all over the roof, all over my face, all over my glasses, wet all over my glasses. Grey jogger bottoms, tracksuit bottoms, brilliant. Sat my own piss then. So again, so this has happened to me. So now I'm just sat in my own piss for the next couple of hours, just waiting to get to bath, and I had to change my joggers. You don't know this. I had to change my joggers in the car park for the office. So I had to get down to my boxers in the car park, put some new stuff on, just covered in piss. Hell of a journey. So
is this how you plan the podcast to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. That's
Chris and David didn't warn me, but they said, "Be ready."
Be ready. Yeah.
And I said, "I'm strapped in."
There's worse ones than that.
Oh, the loads worse ones. That's just
but
get started.
That's an interesting point, though. If we take that seriously, because the amount of travel time that you were doing there, considering that you guys are an online business, doesn't make any sense.
And that was the thing. It got to the point where too many little things that had happened. We were just like, this is ludicrous. This is absolutely stupid. And I suppose it's part of the reason we're here now, right? It's because when you're online, you can be where you want to be. And I think Mike would always rather be up north near his family, and I was quite settled in Bath at the time, and we were doing the journey back and forth, and it was fine. Like, we were doing YouTube videos, going back and forth all the time. It just wasn't a problem. But like I said previously, it was always like, I have to be close by, I have to do it. And it's just this whole like professional thing, and it's just like, like
presenteeism is a huge problem in the corporate world. We were talking about my day job before this, and there's a lot of that. I'm fully remote, so that's fine. But a lot of my colleagues or ex-colleagues in other roles are strapped to desk between 9 till 5, and just resent the travel either side of it.
And do you know what? I think the reason for it is, I was having a discussion with someone else the other day. I can't remember who it was now. It wasn't you. I don't speak to many other people, to be fair, other than you.
Must have been
must have been someone else. And we were talking about how, like, I think anyone who is quite driven or would be good self-employed or has a side hustle or anything like that, they can work for remotely fine. And most people who don't have that drive, they do need to be in an office. They do need to be told to come to a desk and do some work, because if they're not, they won't even do 4 hours good work, never mind 8. If you leave, like, you hear stories of people in lockdowns, like, I moved the mouse a bit and then go back, and it's like, that's what they do. Whereas when you work for yourself, you don't have that attitude. You're like, well, no, I'm here for 8 hours, I need to do my fucking work. You might get it done in 4, great, and then you can go and chill out, but you get the work done most of the time. So I think with that, I think there's a thing where we find it odd. We find it like, I can work anywhere. Like, why would I need to be chained to a desk? But knowing a lot of people that I know, friends and stuff like that, the 2 friends I got, you do need to go to an office. You do need to be told to come in and do the work, because people don't. I think that's the one thing that as I've got older, I realised from speaking to people is, especially the people who are successful with being self-employed or successful coaches that we work with now, the ones that are more successful are the ones that are like, what more can I do? I want to do more. They're like very self-driven to do that work.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to working in an office, and you maybe found this in your early career when you were like sports science and in the military as well, you learn by osmosis from like more experienced peers, and that can typically only be done in person to some extent. However, once you've had that initial stage, you're almost like you're free to go away and work on your own stuff in the background because you're more capable. Yeah,
I think again, there's people that are a bit more driven as well. They just have this desire to learn more anyway, so they do that through books, through YouTube, through podcasts, whatever it might be. Whereas those people who do need to learn that way, they have to be around those people, because they're not going to do it self-selectively. They're not going to go and actively learn. I think that's, from what I've noticed, again, from football, like the people that were always the better ones were the ones that were prepared to do that more work. They weren't fussed about the hours they were doing, from that point of view. So that's one thing I think I drilled into me from a young age. And again, from our time working together, the others were always like, oh, pack the work in now, we're here to chill out. Like, we'd have the office and we'd be there for 8 hours in a day, and we'd do about 2 hours work. Not joking. And you'd be like, what's the fucking point of coming down here? Yeah. And we'd then do work in the evenings. We'd be like at my house, we'd be doing bits and bobs. And I think some people just have that they just have a different drive, different desire to work hard, or whether it's just a different threshold of the ability to work hard or whatever it is.
I talk about bandwidth quite a lot, and I think that some people have different levels of bandwidth to put into different things. So like, for example, you might find that some of the videos that you guys create, you're not like tired or run down after doing it. You actually maybe get energized by it. But whereas there might be some coaches or creators that sit in front of a camera and they come away and they're fried after it because they've had to get themselves so psyched up to bring this particular persona to the table and got away from that. Equally, there might be somebody that's like goes through check-ins like some sort of robot and just is brilliant at it and comes away energized from that. Whereas a lot of coaches, that's probably the most admin intensive, most tiring part of a process.
Yeah, I think that changes as you develop as well, and as you go through those different skills. Like we get it all the time. I just think that not enough people work hard. It's one of my biggest bugbears is that we work pretty hard, I think, and we now probably work smarter because we've managed to work harder. We've like worked hard to a point, and then you go, right, well now we can't work anymore, so now we have to work smarter. And then you find that you add a bit more time back to you. Okay, now we can work harder again, and it changes all the time. And like those tasks become. I think the tasks that used to maybe energize us now maybe drain us, and the tasks that used to drain us now maybe energize us a little bit. It changes as you go through the cycles with that. And like I say, I think we're in a phase at the moment where we've had to change certain things for that very reason. That you just notice that, hang on a minute, we need to be doing more of this and less of this. And it helps that we've got each other because we can go, hang on a minute, you're not performing as well as you normally do in these areas. And I think I might be the same. And then he's like, yeah, it's the same. Notice the same in you. So we need to change how we're working. Which I think is a benefit of having a two as opposed to, again, a lot of the people in our industry just do as a one-man band.
Of course.
Is that we can recognise that in each other, because when we're working together, we're like, hang on a minute, we used to get so much more done in 3 hours than we are at the moment. What's going on? And we both sat there like, just fucked, mate. We're both saying the same thing all the time, and it's just interesting. I think with that whole, like you said about the bandwidth, it definitely makes sense because it just changes. That again, that bandwidth changes based on the task you're doing, but also
as a two, are there different things that one of you does better than the other that you allow each other to pick up more of?
Yeah.
So
Dan's very good at bringing me coffee, holding my things.
Calling taxis.
No, Dan, you're a lot more. Well, you're better with video. Anytime that anything he's doing, pretty much on a computer. Tech, which in an online job, quite a lot. I'm not the most techie. Dan is, so I wouldn't have been able to do half the stuff that I've been able to do without him. So he definitely plugs some. I don't want to say plug some holes. Definitely not. Definitely not. I wouldn't even fill it. So
I do try.
Yeah, he definitely look. Let's use a phrase because I can't think of a better one, but he does plug some gaps. Let's say in what I can't do. I don't necessarily know what I do. I think I'm maybe more creative.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, you're more creative and you come up with more of the ideas, and I think it's more that. I don't even know the sides of the brain on that shit, but I would say I'm more logical, you're more creative. And then when it comes to the idea, he's like pie in the sky with it. And I'm like, yeah, but we can't do it like that because that and that. And you go, oh yeah, shit. Okay, well, let's not do that bit then. Let's just do this bit. And it works quite well like that, I think. Like I say, the tech stuff is, without me, let's be honest, be useless. But but that's fine. Again, it's like you said there about I enjoy that side of it, so it's not too much like hard work.
I think recognizing what your own abilities are and what you can benefit from as a team, because that's ultimately what a two-person business is, isn't it? It's more of a team than it is an individual pursuit.
I've had conversations with people about this, about me and Dan, and people are quite surprised that we're able to work together, like everything down the middle, equal, and we don't fall out. Like we've probably had hard conversations, but not necessarily, but more so about actual business.
Maybe when your coffee's too cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
fucking smash it off his head and say, fucking sort it out next time. I'll be bringing no cold fucking coffee. And as I'm stepping over him and my chauffeur's opening the door, I'd say, fucking sort it out next time, Dan. But we've never really had any disagreements. And I think we're quite lucky, just by chance, that we've got quite similar values and similar goals as well. Like one of us doesn't have a completely contrasting goal to the other one. Like we both see where this is going in the exact same direction, which is always handy because again, previous experiences show that if there's any kind of disparity between where you see something going, it just causes big problems. But yeah, we're on each other's wavelength with that, which is really good. And it is nice to have a partner because we hold each other accountable. And I think we learn quicker as well with each other. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, if it was myself, I don't think I'd be as quick to make decisions as we are when we can talk it out, and we can hash it out, and we can cover all the bits and bobs, and you have your side of things, I have my side of things, and I think we come to a conclusion quicker being a partnership than if we were solo, I think.
Yeah. But the thing is, most of the time, 95% of the time when we sat in meetings or whatever, Mike will say, or I'll say, I'm sure Mike won't mind me saying for him, but we'll do this. And I'll go, yeah. Like we just think the same with a lot of stuff like that, which like I say helps, and it does make it easier, and it's the accountability for me. It's that whole thing of like, oh shit, I'm not really posting much today on Instagram. Like fucking hell, like I'm letting Mike down a little bit, like because he has posted or something like that. And you get that a little bit, like
let me know.
yeah. You get that a little bit as well, where there's like a joint
That's
thing.
relatively healthy though, isn't it? It's not coming from a...
No, it's not. No, not at all. It's not coming from a bad place. It is good because it keeps you on your toes to a degree, but it's more a case of because we're a brand and because we're a two, that when he posts, it's kind of like I post as well. Like people see the results and they go, oh, that's because of what they do together as well, which kind of helps. It's quite nice to know that. And again, with the YouTube stuff as well, is that I was always a bit like, I don't know, when we first started off, I was a bit like, Mike's a bit more of on our YouTube videos anyway, like the funny guy. I'm a bit more like the cameraman, like the interviewer kind of style thing. And I was always a bit like, oh, no one's going to work with me, everyone's going to work with Mike because he's the funnier one, he's on camera more and all this sort of stuff. And what happens naturally is you just attract the same type of people as you are. So the people who watch those videos and go, yeah, but Mike's comes across a little bit more intimidating than me, potentially.
Do you think...
and they work with... So they were like, oh, I don't want to work with Mike because he's a bit intimidating, so I'll work with you. And so it just works out. And at the start, I was always worried it wouldn't, but it's
I find that fascinating because I think some coaches will automatically try and be how you are naturally. Because that's how content seems to be done, so to speak. But by adopting your own style, Dan, and embracing it, you're attracting people that want to work with you, and you're attracting people that want to work with you. Whereas from the outside looking in, where I'm not working in the fitness industry, I can see coaches maybe trying to emulate a particular style that's not them. So maybe they're attracting the wrong type of client, or the clients can see through that this is actually not your true self.
I think it's one of those things as well where you always feel like you're not as funny. So like you'll always be harsh to yourself, whereas like we'll have YouTube videos and I'm looking at what he's doing and I'm just pissing myself. But then I'll come out with a one-liner and he'll just piss himself. And I'll be like, that's not really that funny.
They're cracking up.
They're cracking up, yeah. Because we've got a similar sense of humour, I always think a lot of people want to work with Mike, but then people look at that and go, yeah, but it's maybe a bit too obvious in terms of humour or whatever. And then I might come out with a one-line or something very dry or something like that. I'm just generally sarcastic and grumpy with my sort of sense of humour. And it's just funny how you do attract... that same type of person then comes to you because they see that in the YouTube video that you don't see. And I think, like you said, a lot of coaches look at the more brash, out there, James Smith style, kind of like shouting and swearing.
I've seen people who I've met in person through different like affiliate stuff, and I've been like, wow, you are nothing like your stories, you're nothing like your Instagram. And I wonder how much longevity is in that, because if I dial up a persona to film this podcast, and I'm doing a podcast every single week, but then multiply that by how many stories I'm posting, how many reels I'm posting, you're not going to last.
The problem is I think on some level it comes across as inauthentic, and I think it'll be quite unfulfilling as well to be a character or to portray something that you're not. And like you've just said, you will, if you're attracting anybody, you will be attracting the wrong types of people into your coaching business. And when they come into your coaching business, you're then not going to connect on the level that you should be connecting with somebody if they were coming in and they were the right fit for you, because they're coming in for the wrong reasons. So if they're then not connecting, they're not going to get as good a result. They're not going to stay for long, and they're not going to get you a referral. Whereas if you are truly yourself, and I say this a lot, I'm like, if you are boring, play on the fact that you're boring. Play on the fact that you are the other side of fitness, that you are the normal guy, the down to earth, the less shouty, ranty, sweary, trying to be funny. Make a joke about that. Like, be dry, because you will find 30, 40 other boring, dry people.
It'll be European clients that'll stay forever and they won't give you as much hassle.
100%. Like, the internet is so big. Like, everybody can find 30, 40, 50 clients. Like, everybody, if you're prepared to work for it by being yourself. Like, just literally be yourself, because that is the only unique selling point that you have over any other coach. Because everybody does the same thing. Everybody gives out nutrition or training, realistically. Everybody does a check-in to some extent. It's why someone's going to come to you is because of you. They want to know, can this guy get me a result? but do I like him? Like that's the thing. And it's, do I like him is the big problem that coaches face, is that they think they have to be a certain way for somebody to like them, when they realize that the internet is so big that just being themselves, they will find and they will attract the types of people that do like them, and then they will feel more fulfilled. They will keep their clients for longer. They will get better results, which will then yield more clients coming in through the door because they've got more social proof. Point A, can this guy get me a result?
I think the hardest thing I've found with coaches is that you say to them, be yourself. And I think so many of them either don't know themselves, which could be the answer, but I think is what they do is they just then start creating content that they like to watch. So they just be, again, I've seen people, they just start ranting, swearing. I'm like, no, I said be yourself. Don't be what you think you should be. And too many coaches out there, when you say be yourself, they kind of take it as, you're right there, mate.
It's not very sturdy, this, is it? Or am I just fucking
No, you're just huge, mate, yeah. Whenever I say to people, be yourself, they just come out and like, be me or Mike. And I'm like, no, I didn't mean be me. Like, and you just see them like, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
You say be yourself and they go, yeah, but I'm not funny. I'm like, all right. But what are you then? Are you sympathetic? Are you empathetic? Are you compassionate? Are you quiet? Are you gentle? Are you kind?
It's like a value analysis, isn't it? And that's quite a painful exercise for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't know themselves at all. They've just ended up doing what they're doing because of the nature of where their life's gone to that point.
And the problem with it is they see people on social media being successful because they are funny. So they think, well, I have to be funny to be successful. But we can name loads of people who aren't funny or successful. Yeah. Jordan Peterson, intelligent. That's why he's successful. Sparks good debate. You can be that person in the fitness industry. You don't have to be funny. But it's because they like watching funny that they go, well, I've got to be that then. Because I like that. And it's like, that's not who you are, though. And I think again, like on my Instagram, when I do my videos, I just rant and I'm grumpy. That's because that's who I am. Like when I'm watching TV, I'm like that. Like, it's just grumpy. And I just think people have really lost that sense of what it means to be themselves, that they spend so long on social media watching other people. They don't know themselves. They don't
trends
know
at the
what
moment are really funny to watch, and my favourite to laugh at is the dancing recipe ones. You know, when like pointing
don't
to like
get me started on these recipe fucking videos.
I just wonder, like, because I've never got any value from ever. I've never done one of those recipes. After watching somebody dance and point to like however many grams of protein, and
has anyone ever in this room, right, sat and watched an Instagram video and gone, right, I'm going to make that, and then sat with it like that after hitting save and going, right, let's make this recipe? Not a single person, I know. And the amount of these coaches as well, I work with busy professionals. Well, they ain't got time to fucking make a pizza base from scratch, mate, like that on a Tuesday night. I don't care if it's an air fryer pizza and it does this. I don't give a shit. They're eating spag bol because it's quick and easy and they know how to make it. And they've just lost all touch of reality because they're chasing reels. They're chasing views on reels. And it's one of our biggest bugbears. We talk about this all the time.
People are now associating success to be the amount of views that you're getting on a reel. But that doesn't necessarily translate into success in your business, financially, work with clients. It's literally just a number on a screen that you might be seeing more of by following a trend or an algorithm. Don't get me wrong, there's merit in trying to grow, and to some extent you've got to play the game. But if you blow up by doing dancing reels to creating recipes, be prepared to sell recipe guides then, is what I would say. Because if you're an online coach, people are not going to be there for your coaching because they're interested in how to make a fucking chicken burrito in under 4 ingredients from Aldi. Like, that's what they're there for. So they might as well not be there, because you're then going to waste the content that you want your audience to see in terms of your social proof, your coaching service. You're going to waste that engagement, I guess, on people who were never interested in buying any coaching from you in the first place.
That is such a good point. If you're bringing them into your funnel with one thing, you need to lead them towards something that is related to that thing that's brought them into the funnel. Whereas, like you say, somebody's doing a dancing reel with this super fast chicken burrito, but they then are like, oh, buy my online coaching. Whereas, like you say, if it was a recipe book, at least you can see the link there, so they're in the funnel for that reason.
I've got a consult today with a guy who's got over 100,000 followers, and he's come in for some business advice. I've got 9,000 followers. Success is not about the follower number. It's not about the follower count. I think what's more, what means more is your story views. I see that as an open rate on an email list. If you've got 10,000 on an email list, but you only get 500 views, you've got 500 views. You've got 500 people who are going to buy from you. 9,500 aren't engaged. Same thing. If you've got 100,000 followers and you're getting 1,000 views on your stories, you haven't got 100,000 followers then. You've got 1,000. Your number at the top of the page says 100,000, but you've got 1,000. You've got 1,000. That's it. We also know we also spoke to a father-son's model. Again, over 100,000 followers, great shape, like you would want to look like him. Couldn't sell any coaching because everybody was there because of the clothes he was wearing, or because they fancied him. Like, not because they were there because of any nutrition or training knowledge, or can this guy get me a result, or do I like him? Because it was all pictures of him, hands closed, of course. Always the hands closed on the father-sons. And it's
staring
like
to distance.
So then when you take that as an example and you go, okay, so if we can agree that his followers are there because of one reason, and he's then trying to monetize that audience for something completely different, and that hasn't worked, like, why are coaches just going, oh, well, this guy's blown up on Instagram doing these reels or that type of reels, right, I'm going to do more of that. You're chasing the wrong thing. You're going after the wrong thing. You're going after the thing that you think is going to make you successful or make you look as though you're more successful, but doesn't actually translate into anything additional.
For me, it's a vanity metric, isn't it?
Oh, do you know what? And it is, but also as well, like, coaches don't think about it from a business point of view. They just think of social media, creating content, and that's as far as it goes. So like, I had to have a conversation with the coach of the day, and they were like, oh, I follow this guy and he has really good like money saving food hacks. I was like, okay, cool. And they were like, yeah, I think I'm going to do something similar. Like, I'm thinking about this stuff. And I was like, you sell £300 a month coaching? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so why are you trying to help people save £1 a serving on their dinner? Like, you're going to attract people who are looking to save £1 on their dinner, right? They're probably not going to spend £300 a month on coaching. You should be doing best options to buy on Deliveroo because they're healthier. You're going to then get people who go on Deliveroo 3 or 4 times a week who can probably afford £300 a month because they cut the Deliveroo habit. And I'm like, you're not even thinking about it at a bigger level here. You're just going with, well, they do well on Instagram. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Like, that doesn't mean you're going to get clients through the door. And I think people just don't think like that. They don't think about, okay, like, everyone wants to work with busy professionals. And I'm like, okay, busy professionals don't have time to cook. So what are you doing? And it just comes, and it's just like, to me and Mike, it's basic. It makes, you know, like, what you
do you think that comes from time served in the industry and maybe you following trends when you were younger, or?
Possibly, but like, I don't think we've ever done anything like that and thought about it. But I think it comes from being in the industry long enough to know, well, we haven't got a lot of followers and we don't get a lot of views, but we've done all right and we make decent money. So you kind of go, well, I know then
conversion rate, connection is stronger.
And yeah, and just like when I guess it's from just time spent doing it maybe, but
so when we would do it,
to me it's logical.
So when we were creating content, I think we got into the industry before it was before James Smith had blown up. I think it was before Body Coach. I think it was probably before Body Coach.
Just before.
Yeah. So there was nothing to compare to. So right now there's so much stuff to compare to. It's looking over the garden fence and going, oh, their reel's done quite well, I'm going to do that. Oh shit, now their reel's done quite well, I've done that. There was nothing to compare to. So when we were creating content, that was coming out of our brains. It was us thinking about what we wanted to say, how we wanted to deliver it, and what audience we needed to talk to. So from that point of view, we did what we thought was best. People are doing what other people think are best now. They're looking at what everyone else is doing, whereas it should be coming out of your own brain, because you're going to be better at it. If you enjoy doing it, if it's coming out of your own brain, it's what you want to say in the voice that you want to say it, it's going to come across better, for sure. So it was just born out of that. So we started making our kind of funny videos, which were sweary, ranty, and it kind of was like James Smith stuff. Like I felt a little bit aggrieved when James Smith blew up because, you know, I'd been doing it as well. It's kind of similar style. I just thought, fucking hell. But it was way more consistent and so on and so forth. But yeah, so it was coming out of our brain, and because of that, we've never needed like a big audience. It's that the audience that are there are connected to us, like they're engaged with us, like they buy from us. They're great clients, they're great people. They stay in our network for years, even after they've left coaching, because of being authentic. And because we're being authentic, people have come in because of that, and nothing deviates, nothing's ever changed. Like, we'd never sell out. We'd never get sponsored by anything. Like I once got sent some protein bars and I just slagged them off. I was like, they taste like soil. Like, and just people would love it because it's like you don't see anybody's real opinions anywhere ever. And I think because of that, and because it's shown us success, we kind of know that that's the way to go about it. And because of how infrequently we see success, and it's never really linked to blowing up off the back of a fucking chicken burrito, it's what you think is going to gain you success, and then you realise when you get there, it didn't get me success. I think now where do I go?
I think with us, we've just had these. I think, like you said, you made a point before about how because we speak regularly about these things, we get to a decision quicker. And I think it's a little bit of that involved, where to me and you now, it's just logical. This is business to me. It's just fairly logical. It's not really much. There's a bit of creativity involved in those sort of stuff. But a great example that I use sometimes is the Fitness Chef. You know the Fitness Chef?
Yeah.
So he did all his infographics, right? We was doing like, good and bad and all this sort of stuff. And then again, everyone copies it because he starts getting really big. And I'm like, yeah, but his end goal, from what I can tell anyway, I could be wrong, was to sell that book. Like, again, you watch his videos, he's quite boring. He doesn't really talk much. He's just got quite a dull, grumpy face. And like some of the skits and videos he does now, he doesn't talk on them, he just pulls a funny face. And he's just played to his strength of going, well, I don't want to be on camera, I don't want to do things. But he doesn't need to be personable because he was trying to sell a book, and the Fitness Chef, like, he's going to sell those things. And then you got all these people copy it, and I'm like, yeah, but you're selling a personal coaching experience. And that was the thing for us. We were always like, we're selling a very personal, like, one-on-one service here. We have to show people that we can connect with them. It wouldn't work if we were trying to sell a fucking recipe book. What we're doing wouldn't work.
That. Yeah, you never
wouldn't work. And it's just that, to me, it's just logical. It's just about having an end goal and going, right, what do you want? Well, I want 50 clients that I would do online coaching with. Okay, so what do you need to get 50 clients? Well, I need them to like me for who I am. I need them to want to speak to me. Okay, cool. So then you need to show them that side of you. If you want to sell 50,000 recipe books, show some recipes, sure. But I just think so many people aren't looking at their end goal. They're just thinking of, I need more followers. Why? So I can get more clients. Why do you need more clients? Why do you need more followers? Well, I've got 1,000 and I can't get that money. Okay, like you say this all the time to our coaches. Okay, so if you've got 10 clients and you've got 2,000 followers, that means you need 20,000 followers to get 100 clients. Why not just get better at speaking to the ones you've got? Because there's already that amount of them there. You just can't speak to them. And it's just it's again, looking at a very inefficient way of going, well, I need 20,000 followers. Well, that's harder than just learning to be a better human being and make a connection with someone. And it just baffles me that people just look at this and go, I need more. No, you're not good at what you're doing now. Be more efficient at what you're doing.
What you're saying is so logical, as you said, and I've got a thing that I've been thinking about, that not all views are created equally, and it links to what you were saying there in terms of, like, a view on a reel is not worth the same as a view on a YouTube story
video. Or YouTube video. We were saying this. We've said this all the time with, like, stories and YouTube. And
how many TikTok views do you think are worth one story view? I'm thinking thousands, because I genuinely I post the reels that I create on Instagram to put onto TikTok as well, just because I've got it there. It's free real estate. I don't know how many people are coming through to listen to the podcast off the back of TikTok, but I can tell you right now that people who watch my stories listen to my podcast.
But it's also demographics and thinking, well, who spends time watching these things? Who spends time on those channels? Like, are 32-year-old guys who are interested in self-development going to sit on TikTok all day? No, they're not. They're just not spending time there. You might get an 18-year-old kid who maybe one in 10,000 is interested in self-development, but it's just playing the odds in your favor a little bit. Again, if you're doing quick recipes and you're trying to do that sort of stuff, and it's going to be, again, related to the younger generation, yeah, sure, put it on TikTok. And that's the other thing that baffles me is we did a YouTube video on this not long ago. I think the last one we released last week was coaches just do some content. Oh, I need to do YouTube, need to do a podcast, need to do that. I'm like, you can't even post on Instagram every day yet. Like, why are you trying to make it harder for yourself and put things everywhere without understanding?
Before they can walk, I completely see that, and I think that's shiny object syndrome as well, isn't it? Because everyone knows, like, I think I've got 700 followers on TikTok, but I've got 10,000 likes. That's absurd. My YouTube channel's small as well. I've got like 400 subscribers, 75,000 views, because it pushes the shorts now, and that's fine. But it's maybe not worth anything unless there's something at the end of it.
It's like I say, it's just knowing what you're doing it for. It's like, so again, for us putting our reels, we could put them on YouTube Shorts, we could put them on TikTok, and it would just literally be because we're already doing them. So it's a secondary thought. Well, because we're already doing them, we may as well. But it's this concept of people do YouTube videos. Oh, I'm going to put this on YouTube, and I'm like, are your demographic going to spend 30 minutes watching a YouTube video about this topic? Is that what they do? Ask your clients how many of them sit and watch YouTube and research stuff. Not many. We put our YouTube videos out there because coaches sit and watch YouTube to learn stuff. So the 400 views we get on a video are probably going to be coaches, and they're probably interested in what we're talking about. Whereas if we used to do like funnier videos on YouTube, and we used to try and do like day in the lives or like eating challenges, and we might get 2,000 views, but we knew that they weren't all ever going to convert to clients, because it's like, well, they're there to watch an eating challenge. Like we've got one with Leah Shukiva, you did, and it must have like 200,000 views. And I know that 200 or 300 of subscribers on our channel are just people who've watched because of that video. They're not interested in what we do now. They're never going to be. And if we just focus solely on, we need more subscribers, again, you're losing the point. Like, well, no, I'd rather just that every single person that viewed that video was a coach. That's what I'd rather. And it's not going to, like I say, it's not going to make us famous on YouTube. It's not. What we're putting out there is not going to make us big on YouTube. It's just not. But it's relevant for our business, and it's going to serve a purpose for our business rather than...
It's not doing it for that reason. You think of, again, when you think posting on YouTube, everybody wants to be a Mike Thurston, something like that. But not everybody is a Mike Thurston. And you go, okay, well, how can we use this to our advantage? Like, how can we use this platform, which coaches do sit and watch it, like Dan said. Like, that is where somebody will go to learn. A podcast, YouTube, longer form, whatever. And it's not being swayed by, oh, this didn't work because it only got 300 views. No, we're doing this for a reason. We don't need 3,000, 30,000 views. If we got 30,000 views on a YouTube video, we'd go, oh, because there isn't going to be 30,000 coaches watching it, but there might be 400. And then you go, okay, well, where are these 400? We don't need 400 coaches to work with us. Like, then you see names come up and you can engage with them more. You can chat to them more. Inevitably, they'll become your client. Like, that's the problem, is that people are trying to hit 10,000 followers, but they need 30 clients. Like, you just need 30 people to like you enough to sign up with you. Why do you need 10,000 followers to do that? We've got 450 people in our clients in our business. Neither of us have got 10,000 followers. Like,
there's a lesson there, isn't there? I think the attention economy is very competitive, but do you think the fitness industry is competitive?
I don't.
I don't think it's competitive.
I think that there's
a lot of people doing it.
There's a lot of people doing it, but that doesn't mean it's competitive. There's so many people doing it wrong that for me, I just don't. If you're prepared to work hard and you're prepared to put yourself out there and you're prepared to be consistent, I say anyone, most people could probably do it.
The problem with it is that people think, oh, I like the gym. I'm going to be an online coach. I'm going to make a few posts on Instagram. And it's naive, and it's a little bit insulting at times, because it's almost like, oh, I can do that. But you can't. And the problem that you see is that, I mean, if you take this TikTok trend or the fucking recipe trend, right? And then you put this into any other business in any other sector. Does any other business in any other sector create marketing decisions on a knee-jerk basis based off what someone else has done? Never. Never, 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 never. Yeah, as an online coach, you have to be the marketer as well. The salesperson, the admin, the accountant at times, and the coach. So that means you've got to have a pretty good marketing strategy in terms of clarity, vision, direction of where the brand is, what the brand feels like, what it stands for, what it doesn't stand for. But people haven't got a clue. Like, I had a consultation yesterday with a guy, and I was like, you see this in cars, right? This guy, I asked him why someone would sign up with him and not me. And he went through a series of things, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I can't see any of that from your page. He was like, but your clients know it. I was like, it's no good your clients knowing it, because they'd have to be a client to know it. You need to get it out there. You need to stop looking at what other people are doing and marketing like that. And I use this analogy. I was like, you have a man, tuxedo, in a cocktail bar, drinking an old-fashioned, just one though, because he's going to drive in a minute, walks outside, valet hands him his keys, gets into an Aston Martin. The picture makes sense. You wouldn't have a man, tuxedo, in a cocktail bar, walks outside, man hands him his keys, it's a Kia. Wouldn't happen. And Kia know that, and Aston Martin know that. They appeal to different people. So what you would see from a Kia is you would have man and wife coming out of the house, 3 kids, dog runs off, carrying loads of luggage. End shot would probably be the boot shut in, rammed full, everybody's in the car, they drive off. Kia. It wouldn't say Aston Martin. They know who they're talking to. So be like Kia, or be like Aston Martin, or be like any other brand of any other fucking business on the planet. Kia don't go, oh my God, Aston Martin's thing looks really good, really suave. Like, gentleman cocktail. Let's do our branding like that. Wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yet online coaches are pretending to be businessmen or CEOs of their own company. CEO of your fucking mum's spare bedroom. Like, act like you're a proper business. Act like you have some direction. It's so scattergun, knee-jerk, like looking over at what other people are doing with absolutely and the arrogance of going, it's just not working. Like, why is it not working? It's not working because it's not good enough.
You're doing the wrong thing as well. Yeah.
It's just not good enough at times. Sometimes I'll sit with people and I'll genuinely say, here's your reel, here's this person's reel, which one's better? And they'll go, here's. There you go. Enough said there, innit? Like, why is it? Why is it better?
That's the thing that frustrates me, is that it's the arrogance of just putting out a post and being like, why don't I get any clients in? And you go, well, yeah, because it wasn't good enough. And they will not put the work in to make it better. They won't look at it and go, well, why was it bad? Well, how can I make it better? They just go, I can't do it. It's that I just can't. It's like a kid. It's like, I've got a 7-year-old. It's the same thing. It's like, can't do it. I'm like, right, well, that's not the attitude, is it? And obviously she's 7, so I can't have a go at her. But I can have a go at a 28-year-old guy. And I'm like, that's the ridiculous attitude to have. Oh, I did it for 3 months. Didn't really work. Brilliant. Imagine if we all had that attitude where 3 months in a podcast you give up because I didn't get a million views.
That happens though. Most people are not consistent.
This is the thing. Is it comes down to this? What I said before about I said most people can do it, but most people don't give it enough time. Most people aren't consistent enough because most coaches again don't understand they're in a very personal job, very personable thing that they do. Yet the one reason I speak to people that they don't like doing their job or they don't like doing PT is they don't like people. And I'm like, you're in the wrong job. Like, if you were going into coaching and you don't like talking to people, you're not very sociable, get a different job. Be an accountant, be a lawyer, do something different, because this is a personable job. You need to be in front of people. You need to be sociable. And that's the biggest thing that coaches get wrong, is that they post on Instagram, put their phone down and go off and like have a day off. And I'm like, that's not what this is about. You need to be talking to people. And we say this all the time, is like, it's called an online coach. You will be on your phone. You will be on your computer. Oh, my screen time was a bit high. My missus had to get me because I was on the phone. Don't care. It's your job. She wouldn't have a go at you if you weren't to work on the trains and you were a fucking train driver. She wouldn't have a go at you, would she? And it's this concept of coaches just don't want to do the work. They are arrogant to think that I posted a video on Instagram, didn't go as well as I thought it would.
I've got a good physique. I've got some good programs in the background.
Yeah.
Why have I not got all these clients?
Yeah. It's this arrogance of, well, I'm a good coach. Great. No one fucking knows. No one cares, actually. No one cares until they see you as a person, they see what you're like.
You're not a good coach with no clients, though.
So this is the thing. You're not. People say, I've got all these qualifications. I can do this. I've done this. I do this myself, and I help this person out. I help them do this. And it comes back down to this naive. I don't know if it's naivety, arrogance. I don't know which it is. I think maybe arrogance is a bit harsh, but it's a complete lack of time. So people come to us and they're like, I've been doing this like a year now, not really got anywhere. And me and Mike are sat there with like 15 years combined experience going, they're like, I want to be where you are in the next 6 months. I'm like, what? 6 years, do you mean? No, 6 months. I think I can get to 40 clients. I'm like, the mind boggles that they think they can go from.
They could be a total outlier and do it, but the reason is that they're closing the name outlier.
And if they're an outlier, they wouldn't need our help. They'd be able to do it themselves anyway. But it's like we talk about all the time. It's the arrogance to think you can go from I've just qualified to the same wage as a GP in 6 months. I'm like, you do realise that GPs go to medical school for 5 years and then have to work their way up in hospitals for another 5 years. So it's 10 years to get to 85 grand, 100 grand a year job. And you think that because someone on Instagram said you can get 10k a month really easily, that you can post on Instagram a couple of times because you like going to the gym and you can earn that money. You're deluded. And that's the problem in our industry. And I think that's the one reason that I think we will hopefully in the future carry on being successful as we are, is that we have got the opposite message to everyone else. Is that all the other mentors that we see out there are saying
how easy it is.
It's easy to get 10k months. 3 simple steps to 10k months. Do that. And we're going, it's fucking hard. It's not easy. You've got to put the work in. It's not going to happen overnight. And the amount of people we get on calls, they go, it's just refreshing to hear. because everyone's saying it's easy, and I've tried it for a year and it's not easy. I'm like, no, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And even with our help for a year, it won't be easy.
Saying it's easy is a sexy thing. That is what's going to sell. Of course it is.
It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent of the coaches that moan and go, "Oh, all these people selling meal plans and say they're going to get shredded in 6 weeks." I'm like, you do realise that's what you believe with the business, though, now? And they're like, "Oh, I didn't look at it like that." It's mad, isn't it? We get it all the time. Come to us all the time.
One of the reasons I was asking about competition in the industry is that sometimes business coaches and mentors like yourselves are criticised because you're maybe going to make it more competitive for yourselves. How do you frame that sort of criticism?
I mean, again, I think it comes down to, like, there's always space. I still think online coaching is a fairly young career. I don't think it's got anywhere near to the capacity it can be. And you look at how many, I think the stats are 90% of PTs fail in the first year.
After they pass their level 3, they're not working full time in the industry, so they might still be trying to do it, but they're not doing it full time.
So I think from that point of view, then there's a lot of work to do, right? There's a lot of work to do, regardless. So in terms of like it being competitive, we still need more good coaches. There's more, like, again, the country and the world as a whole is only getting fatter and more obese and all this sort of stuff, more sedentary, bad habits. No, there's more. We need loads more online coaches. We need, and good ones. That's the problem, right? That's the problem. There's not enough good ones. There's a lot of them doing it. There's not enough good ones.
I knew where your answer would go based on the fact that you said the industry is not competitive. It's got lots of people, but the standard's low.
I think
so
it's
not competitive.
it's true.
If you're a good practitioner, you're not in competition.
No.
It's really weird is that when I came into this, so you kind of mentioned earlier, you briefly threw in that I was in the military, right? Which I was for 9 years.
There we go. Save the country.
Thank you for your service. Don't worry about it. Like, I knew coming into it, there was like a little bit of not arrogance, right? So my brain works really strangely. What I'm coming to learn, I'm working with a therapist at the moment, and like, I'm driven because I don't feel good enough at pretty much anything, and I always have done my entire life. Never felt good enough at anything, and my drive comes from that. But I also know that it's really strange. I also know that if I do it to the best of my ability, I'll be better than everybody else at it. But it's such a bizarre feeling that I never feel as though I'm good enough. Like, so for example, I still feel like I could be doing more now. And I don't think I could. I think I'd probably have a fucking breakdown. Because my brain is forcing me to do more. It's forcing me to do more and do more because my fear of everything just fucking leaving is so strong. And it's so bizarre that I feel like if I do it, it's so bizarre because I'm like, I don't want to be shit at it, and I don't want to fail, and I know that amount of work will make me be successful. So when I was coming into the industry, I knew that I knew I was going to do something good. Like, I knew it. Everybody that I worked with was trying to talk me out of it. My mum and dad were trying to talk me out of it. My mum and dad wanted me to be a plumber. My boss at work said nobody works with PTs. Nobody does this. He was 20 stone. You don't work with the PT. But again, trying to talk me out of it. And I was steadfast. Like, I knew. I was like, because I'm not going to be the average person. I'm not going to be that. So I spent time, I invested in my business in terms of, I got some mentoring. I was listening to marketing podcasts, business podcasts, because I knew it was all of the things that coaches at the time weren't doing. They weren't doing those things. They were investing in yet another nutrition course. Like, yeah, got a couple of nutrition qualifications, done your PT, whatever, strength and conditioning, cool.
Kettlebell level 8 as well. Very important.
Exactly, yeah, like exactly that. And I knew that the drive and the work ethic that I do have was going to elevate me. And like, so it backs up the point, in my opinion, that I think if you have got something about you, it's not competitive. I've got a client who's a dentist at the moment, leaving dentistry, would you believe, it's been online coach, strange days. Started with me 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 5 clients. Doing it on the side because he enjoys the gym. Really intelligent guy, obviously dentist. Great work ethic. Nice guy as well, likeable. I think he's now sat at something like 36 clients, earning 7 grand a month, I think, more than he does at dentistry after 5 years medical school, working in a practice for years as well, leaving to become a dentist. And you go, this guy's done that in the space of 4 or 5 months. He is an outlier, but it's an outlier that you can understand, because you look at him and he does everything. He does everything that you want him to do. He's consistent. He thinks about stuff. He's got a clear path. He's driven. He knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't jump on trends and bandwagons. He knows who he is and who he talks to. So I think that backs up the fact that there really is no competition. If you have half a brain cell and you can allow yourself to be consistent over time and almost ignore the nagging in your head that goes, you're going to fail at this. Oh, you've had 3 clients drop off. You need to panic and find something else. If you can ignore that, remain consistent and work hard, I don't think it's that difficult at all, to be honest. To earn, let's just say 3-4 grand, right, which is a fantastic wage. Just in this industry, it's deemed as not, because everybody's earning 10k months apparently. 3 or 4 grand a month, I don't actually think it's that difficult, if I'm being completely honest. Like, if you have got half a bit of work ethic. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and I completely agree. And like you say, the metric for success is just so skewed now, because you're seeing people talk about particular financial figures that sometimes they might do it if they've had a launch in that month, but I know there's a lot of people that will launch a product and it will go well for 2 months, and then the months afterwards will be quite foul. But they never talk about those months. They talk about the months where they were like, oh yeah, did a 10k month in September, for example.
I think one of the biggest problems that I find with it is that it's something that I think we need to get better at sharing a bit more, is that when we say, if you're driven, if you're prepared to work hard, I think we have to be better at defining those two things, because I think a lot of people think they work hard. I think a lot of people think, they might have a day job and think, oh, I work quite hard. In my team, I'm the hardest worker. And I do feel like when you work for yourself, you do have to be that little bit more driven. You do have to be, because I speak to coaches all the time. I work hard, I do that, and I'm like, they can't post every day on Instagram. They can't turn on their stories every day. They've got an excuse, they've got a reason, they've got an event, they've got a family thing or whatever. And I'm like, when we say driven, we mean like, no, when we've had weeks where we've posted every single week when there's shit that's happened you would never know about, like personal stuff. And it's like, just like if you had something personal happen at home, like you fall out with your missus, you still have to go to work. You don't just go, oh, sorry, I couldn't come in. But people who are online coaches, they use that as an excuse. Oh, I didn't want to post today because I felt like missus. And it's like, just because you can.
Yeah, they're only accountable to themselves though, unless they work with somebody like yourselves who says to them, come on now.
And that I think is the key difference there. So like when you're talking about Rowan, and I know my clients that I know have done similar things like that, I look at their stats, I look at their data, and I go, they don't let shit like that bother them. And the ones that aren't as consistent and driven as that, let shit like that bother them. Oh, I had a weekend off because I just felt a bit tired.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. But then your outcomes will reflect that in a few weeks' time. And if you do that every other weekend, it will reflect that.
Even if, I know you're saying sometimes you're showing up and your clients or anyone wouldn't even know that something's happening, but like when I've been like at my most stretched before coming here, I kept up, I did a twice a week upload frequency, which is stretching, as you can probably, you can probably tell me. But I was saying, like, when I was recording, I did one that came out yesterday as a solo podcast, and I was recording at like 7 a.m. before I started work on the Thursday because I was flying on the Friday. And I was saying in the podcast, I was like, listen, I wanted to make sure this happened because I've committed to doing this. And I was getting messages yesterday being like, I'm glad you still managed to like maintain that, because on a Wednesday and a Sunday, or at least on a Sunday as a minimum, you're going to get an episode of CamBro Conversations, and you can listen to me on your Monday, on your commute to work on a Monday. And that's the promise that you have. So they trust you. So people showing up and being consistent, even sometimes they do let you know that something's going on behind the scenes in terms of, right, I'm a bit stretched, this needs to happen. I think there's a greater appreciation for that as well.
And do you know, that's the difference though. That's why you've got a successful podcast and some of our clients don't, is that even when you're busy and are stretched, you go, I got up at 7 a.m. to do it. Whereas most people go, oh, I'll just leave it this week. I'll just leave it. If it's not that important to you. Whereas again, we're probably the busiest we've ever been. Like in terms of like hours worked, we do not have a moment spare.
Yeah.
Before we came here, I've uploaded our YouTube video from the other week. I had 10 minutes this morning. I was like, uploaded it. We're going to get off this. I've got to make the thumbnail for it and upload it, ready for 9 o'clock when it's going to go live for them in the UK at 9 o'clock. And like, I could have just not done it. I could have gone, oh, I'll just leave it till Tuesday or whatever. But it's just not in our nature to be able to do that anymore. Like you just get to that point where you go, we get in here and we film 3 hours of videos for our YouTube channel. We don't have to do that. We're busy enough. We've got enough people coming through the door. We don't need. But it's that thing of like, you just set a standard for yourself, and you just go, well, that's what I do now. Like that's just what's expected of me, and that's the difference.
3 weeks ago, we were sat having breakfast, doing some work, and I got some bad news about my dad's health. Bad news, and I still turned up to all of our meetings and calls in the afternoon, and still did my full week. And sometimes you see people go, oh, I missed this because of I was tired, or oh yeah, I had to go and visit somebody, or so on and so. Oh, I went out for drinks and I was hungover. And you're just like, you understand? You're trying to run a business here. You'll sit and watch Dragon's Den, for example, and you will see everybody Dragon's Den going, yeah, we're in the red for the first 3 years. Yeah, no, we haven't taken a wage. We're working at all hours God sends. But because you're an online coach, you're expecting your business to be 10K months within 3 months. Taking every weekend off, taking not just a wage, but spending all of the money that you're earning, not reinvesting that into your business. And it's like you are playing at running a business. Like you're playing at it.
I can't stand is the I just want that good work-life balance, and I'm like, you got to fucking work first. Yeah, like Jesus Christ.
You need to build the foundations, don't you? It's the same in any industry, in any career.
You have to have the client base to be able to then take that time, and we're notoriously bad at taking time off anyway, and all that sort of stuff. But it's only now that I really truly feel like I can go right 2 days off at the weekend, don't really have to do much, like, and we can do that. Because when you sat at 75 clients, you kind of go, okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing, know what to do, know what I need to do. Still fairly consistent with stuff, but it's when you get the coaches who've got like 5 clients, 10 clients, and they want 20, 30. I just needed a bit of time, work-life balance and all that. Like,
do you know if you watch a documentary on any successful person, what would you be expecting on that documentary? What would you expect their work-life balance to be like?
It's like an arc, isn't it? It's really, really intense at the start, and then once they hit a level of success where they're happy, sometimes it levels out. But then you also get people like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Ronaldo, who it just never stops. No, because that's how they're wired.
Who are the best people at it? Like, I wouldn't ever expect to turn up to an interview with anybody that's successful and go, yeah, so I was doing about 10, 12 hours a week, and yeah, it kind of did this within its first few months. You would be like, well, no, I'm expecting the successful people to be sleeping on the office floor. I'm almost half expecting it, because that, what's required to get there. And like you say, at a certain point, you've made that life for yourself because of that hard work. But people want that life before they've actually done the hard work, and it's bizarre. I watched an Elon Musk documentary, and it was the same thing. Massively in debt, borrowing off friends, borrowing off people, sleeping on office floors, no sleep. You go, yeah, I can see that. Like you can see that. That's what it takes to be the world's richest man, right? Like that. You would be very surprised if you turned up to that documentary and you'd be like, yeah, he's created all of this, taking every weekend off. Like putting his phone down at 5 p.m. And you're like, that is comical saying it out loud. And we go, okay, so if we can all agree that we would expect somebody to work hard for success, well, why are you not doing it? Yes, not on the scale of Elon Musk, of course, but the premise is there. Like, if you know that that's the fibre of what's needed. It's the premise.
And for him to get to that level, he has to keep doing it forever, right? But what we're saying to coaches is do it for 2 years, and then you can actually take some time. And actually, then you'll find that work-life balance.
Do you know Rob Lipsett, Irish YouTuber?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, know of him. Yeah.
We don't know him. Yeah.
Know of him. Rob was on the show, and he talked about going monk mode, and it's obviously a bit exaggerated, of course, but between like 2014 to 2017, he was like, I drank maybe 3 or 4 times a year, didn't go on holiday, I was doing videos constantly, I managed to quit my day job, I was doing more videos, I flew to different expos to try and network with Alphalete and Ghost, whoever else he ended up getting sponsored by. And he was like, I was going monk mode because I hadn't earned the right to go to what he does now. He lives in Marbella, he goes to Nobu, he goes to these different gyms, he lives a lifestyle that's completely unrelatable now. But the time when he was building, he was like, it was so intense, people stopped asking me to go to nights out because they just knew it was going to be a no. And he was like, it's not normal to live like that forever, but in order to build a I don't know, 500,000 subscriber YouTuber, whatever he's got, of course they required that period where he went monk mode, and he was like, people nowadays are like, oh, I want to be a full-time YouTuber, and he's like, well, strap in.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they see the end, right? They just see the end, and they see where they're at the start, and they have no idea what's going on in the middle. And we get it even being out here. Oh, it's right for you though, isn't it, living in Dubai?
I was very interested in asking you this, because making that move, there is a lot of connotations with Dubai.
Yeah.
What have people said to you?
I think the thing for me is like, so again, like I probably leave the house maybe like during the week twice to play golf, and I post it on my Instagram, and I get people go, oh yeah, it's right for you though, isn't it, playing golf and nice weather and all this, and I'm like, you also don't see the 12 hours that I did yesterday, check-ins, the 12 hours I got tomorrow, the 6 hours I did today after this golf course, and then on my day off I'm playing golf. There is I think there is a bit, and I was always a bit nervous about sharing too much of it being over here because of the connotations with just fucking by the beach, not doing anything. I've been to the beach once since I've been here. Played golf a fair bit. But honestly, like since moving here, we've actually probably worked harder than we did back home. And one of the reasons for me for working harder here is being here, you're surrounded by, like in the UK, we probably look around and go, oh, we're probably doing all right. Whereas here, I feel like we're poor. And that sounds stupid to say out loud. But like when you play golf and you speak to these people, you're around people that just have a different mindset. And I still feel like we're very much in our infancy of where we could be. But when we're in the UK, I would say, oh, we're doing all right. In the industry, oh, we're doing okay. And for me, it's actually maybe more driven to take what we're doing further than it is for me to go, I want to go and sit on a beach all day and do that. Like people would think we're here to do that. But for me, it's been the opposite. It's actually been, now I realise what we can achieve.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, there's a reason why I'm so fucking pale. I don't go outside pretty much. I work hard a lot. In fact, I had literally two clients within the last 3 weeks. They didn't even realise I lived in Dubai because I've just travelled back to the UK and come back again. They didn't even know that I lived in Dubai. I've been here 2 years.
Yeah,
didn't even know. And I'm like, well, you know, Dan. One of them was like, I know Dan does. I was like, but you know that I put out videos with Dan. So how am I like
flies in once a month?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the reason why like we came out, lockdown had hit in the UK, boring obviously at home, and it is a job that you can take anywhere. So what would have been keeping me in the UK would have been Dan pretty much. To film videos, but we were unable to film the videos for YouTube because at the time, like Dan said, we were doing fitnessy type stuff and vlogs and this and that and the other, and we couldn't do it. So it was kind of like, well, what are we doing? And me and my missus came out here for a holiday. And she's Arabic, well, from an Arabic family, speaks Arabic, reads, writes it. Not that it really influenced much, but I think there was a factor in that as well. And we came out, really liked it. You obviously then have the elephant in the room of there's no tax. That's I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a big influencing factor running a small business. And it was just an opportunity to come experience a different culture, for me at least. Be around a different type of person, I'd say, like just being in a different environment, like with a growth mentality rather than like a scarcity mentality that you tend to get in the UK. Have nice weather, you know, eat at nice restaurants, and we do bits. I probably do a little bit more than that, more of that than you, I'd say. But so there's a part of that, but just graft. Like that was the idea, was to graft. Is to go, if we're gonna come over here, we're not coming over here to spend every weekend at 5 Palm. That's not me.
I was there last Thursday. It's taken years off my life.
Yeah,
it's like being in Birmingham. It's like Birmingham with a sunset.
My friends and I call it 5 Bam. It's just full of bam pots.
Yeah.
It's good fun though.
I've went once. Well, I say I went once. I went to an Italian restaurant in 5, and 5 was going on. I'm too old, man, for these days. So we were just like, fucking hell, there's people in the pool fully clothed, and I was just like, man, I'm too old. Wind back 10 years, I'd have been in there, but in a mankini probably. But yeah, so my thing was, I'm going to come and work, and I'm going to set our life up for when we move back eventually.
I think with that as well, like you said there about the tax stuff, is like people again have this connotation with like you're going because you want to make more money or whatever it is, and obviously there's an element of truth in that. But the one thing for us as a small business that people don't think about is that what it's allowed us to do is grow and scale quicker, because we're not hamstrung by a larger tax bill. So again, when you start getting nearer the VAT threshold and you got a small business, you've got other people working for you, is that we have a competitive advantage over some other smaller other companies, maybe in the UK, because they have to pay a considerable amount of tax and stuff like that. And again, like we'd be lying if we said that wasn't a consideration. But I think people have this view that we're sitting there stuffing the cash in our pockets, and we're just like, it's like, no, it just gets reinvested back into the business that we're doing, allows us to grow and scale that bit quicker and provide more coaches, help more people, and all this sort of stuff as well. And obviously the company makes more money, which is again great, and we're going to hopefully set ourselves up for life. But again, it's this connotation that we're somehow like got G-Wagons and we're rolling around Dubai and we're like say, Nobu every single day, and it's like, that's not what it's like. I think people have this really negative connotation of Dubai because of all the documentaries and stuff like that, and they assume that that's how you live your life, and it's just like, if that's what you think, like great, but like that's like me saying because you live in London you're like made in Chelsea. It's like, that's not what it's like, is it? Yeah. It's that thing of like,
very good point.
Just because made in Chelsea is a thing, or the only way is Essex, that's not how the UK is it? And they go, no. I'm like, well, now apply the same thing to like Dubai Bling or like the other documentaries. I'm like, it's not like that.
Or even when somebody comes on holiday and you see their Instagram stories, like the things I've been posting and stuff I've been up to, that's not what I would be like if I was here. No. I'd be working 9 to 5, and then I'd be doing the podcast on the side, a bit of fitness.
Yeah.
And then
it's like the places you mentioned, I've not been to any of them. Like I've just not been to them. Like I've been down to JBR Beach once when our family came. Never been to Train Beach Club, never been to Five. So again, not my scene, but just like these are all the places people associate with Dubai, and again the Palm and the brunches and stuff. And when we do go to them, like I just don't get my phone out. I'm like, I'm here to just chill out, and I don't want to be doing that. So it's just funny. I find it quite funny, the interpretation of it all, and I do wonder if sometimes it comes from a place of not jealousy, but a little bit of a, oh, it's easy for you though, innit? And it's like, well, no, it wasn't easy for me. I worked my fucking nuts off, and I picked my computer up and moved my whole family, which was a big ordeal, like spending a lot of money and moving 2 dogs, a kid, finding a school, finding a house. It's like people just think it's easy.
It's quite a lot of setup costs coming here as well, is there not, in terms of getting yourself registered?
You just pay a lot up front. You have to pay a lot of stuff up front, and it was a gamble. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it wasn't like, oh yeah, definitely knew it was going to work out. We always came like, well, let's see what it's like then, because it's a different place to live. It's like I say, different climate. Completely different attitude to life, and again, the way of life compared to the UK. And it's like, people, I don't know. Did you get that at all? I don't know. I just feel like people, it's easy for you, and I was like, it wasn't easy though. We've worked our nuts off to get to this point where we've got a job and a business that we can pick up and take what we want.
Do you know that there's an element when we coach predominantly kind of fat loss clients? There was an element of me feeling a little embarrassed about certain bits, because I felt like they might see that, oh, well, that's what I'm paying for type thing. And I know that's incorrect, because what they're paying for is a result at the end of the day. It doesn't matter where you are, what you do with it, so on and so forth. That's none of anybody's business. But now that we coach more coaches, I think I'm slightly more inclined to be a little bit more open with things, and so on and so forth, because I do think that, I don't know, it just maybe comes across slightly differently. I think I don't know, there's maybe just a mental block with me in terms of being completely, out there with posting about Dubai and stuff like that.
Because we're not big on sharing our like revenue and what we make. Again, a lot of other mentors are big on how many millions they've made and all this sort of stuff.
Social proof, isn't it?
Because
I bought this car because I do this. Like,
exactly
my friend and I were doing videos outside 5 Palm the other day where he was like, oh, if you trade Forex with me, you can get these cars and stuff like that. Because you do genuinely see that, don't you? And we thought that was funny, but like that's how some people build their business off the back of, listen, if you join my course or my mentorship, you will be able to live this lifestyle.
Because look, we could do that, right? And we've said this before, is that we found out that somebody was doctoring their social proof, right? And we were like, it would be easy for us to post things that are inauthentic. Like, we could do that, and we could play off the fact that we live in Dubai as a selling point, right, to coaches, as an aspiration. We could do that. But rewinding all the way back to attracting the type of people that you want to work with, you go, we're not like that, and we don't want to work with people that are like that. So why would we do it? And just because we would earn something or own something, I don't think it gives any credence to whether you can help somebody else. Like, I don't think it can, because I know some people who own certain material things, but their service is appalling. Like, so it's almost like it's just the same as back in the day. No, I say back in the day. It's back in the day for us. Just because the guy's in incredible shape, got six pack, doesn't mean he's the best coach. It's the same thing to me. Like, it's just because he looks good, he might just always look good. He might look good no matter what he eats. Yeah. Like, I used to play football with a guy. Fuck me. I would be the one dieting, going through off seasons. This guy, Jesus Christ, he looked like he was like 4 weeks out from a show at any given moment, and he would be eating pork pies before the game, KFC after the game. I was thinking, will he fuck off? Like,
yeah.
Like, so it's not necessarily that the guy knew what he was doing nutritionally. It's just that he looks good. Yeah, if he went and sold some stuff, which he never did, he was obviously in the military or whatever. If he went and sold some stuff, probably do all right as an online coach, because it looks like he knows what he's talking about. And that's the thing, is that you can very, very easily look like you know what you're talking about, especially these days. You get car and finance, you can get watches on finance, you can get your fucking clothes rented from Selfridges these days. Like, you can easily make it look like you're something that you're not.
A false front.
Mm-hmm.
Which again circles back to the whole thing with what we talked about with coaches, is that you're selling a personal brand. You need to be personal. People take time to know, like, and trust you. The people that know you and follow you for long enough. It comes back to the whole thing with reels. Like, just because you've got 250,000 views on reels, no one's going to watch that reel and go, oh my God, this person's the most amazing person, I must sign up for coaching with them. They're not. It's the same with that. It's like, just because you've got one picture of you next to a Lamborghini that you rented doesn't mean that people are going to go, oh my God, you've got to keep that up for a long time. Like, and it's just that whole thing for us, is that we just think, look, let's just, again, be ourselves, put out what we want to put out. And like I said, we're doing okay because of it. But I think, like I said, that's why I don't show huge amounts of that side of it, because to me, it's not important. What's important is what's in here and what I can help people with.
What's been the best parts of Dubai for you then?
For me, the weather, like, and playing golf.
The weather, yeah. Pretty much any time from April, I reckon, until
September, end of September, start of October, gets bad.
Yeah, it's bad. So May, June, July, August are bad, and halfway through September, so you can't go outside. It's like too hot
during the day.
Yeah, during the
morning,
day.
evening, you can.
But yeah, this time of year now, weather's beautiful. So I think the weather.
It does make you feel better. Like, my missus was she was the one probably pushing for the move more than me, because she loves the sun. And what we've noticed since being here is just the sun on your skin and just how much better you feel for it. Like, again, we don't get out, huge amounts. I get a bit more than you because I play golf, but even just sitting out in your garden for 20 minutes in the morning with a coffee,
you go out in the garden,
you just feel
you can't do that in the UK.
I feel good. Yeah. And people say to me, oh, it's far too hot. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like the summer's really long. I'm like, you do realize how long it rains for in the UK? It's just the same, like, kind of thing. It's like, you just don't go outside much and do much outside in the winter. It's the same with the summer here, really. But even with that, like, you can play golf in the summer and you get out first thing 6:30 and you can get around in just about. It's really hot towards the end of it, and in peak times, July and August, we still played. It was still okay. But that's been the thing for me, is it allowed me to do that. Like, my mate came to visit the other week, and he played in the UK 20 rounds, I think it was, over the summer. And I played 90 since January. And he was just like, no wonder you're better than me. Yeah, he still beat me. But it was one of those things where it's like, that's, for me, has been one of the huge
lifestyle
things.
benefit, isn't it?
Yeah. I can do the things that I enjoy and things that I like doing. We spend more time together, for sure, than we did in the UK, because we live closer. Again, we're not in different parts of the country. So that, again, going into next year as well, is going to help even more, because we've got a little bit more time now to do some more stuff. But the lifestyle is a lot more chilled out. It's a lot slower. Slower pace to life.
Slower pace of life's interesting, because obviously I've been in here on holiday, it's been non-stop, but once you're settled, you feel that it's a little bit less frantic.
Well, if you go on holiday anywhere, you cram stuff in, you want to see stuff. I want to see that monument, this, that, and the other. I want to go brunch there, whatever. Of course, it's going to be fast paced, because you want to cram it in. But here, you live here, so it's just pick what you do up, move it to a different country, and then go, okay, so what do you usually do? Well, you might go out every 2 or 3 weeks for a nice meal or whatever, every month or whatever. Aside from that, you're working, you sit down in the evening, you watch the telly, you go to the gym a couple of times a week, and that's it. Like,
the reason I think is a slower paced life here is because it's built for large numbers of people, but also because the weather's nice all the time. There's no rush. You know, like if you get a nice weekend of weather in the UK, the last thing you want to do is go to the beach, right? Or parks, because it's just rammed full of people. You can't park anywhere. All that stress that comes with it, right? You don't have that here. If you want to go Dubai Mall on the Sunday, the busiest day of the week, you'll get a parking space. Because they've built it to have more cars in it than it can hold people. You go to the beach, you drive at the JBR, you can park underneath the beach. No matter what time of day you go, no matter how busy you think it might be, there'll be a car parking space. You park there, you get up to the top, sun loungers, you can get one. There's space. It's this whole concept, because it's quite a modern city. It's built for modern life. So there's none of this like, oh, we've got to go to the beach today because it's the only day of the week that it's sunny and everyone else is going to be there. So the slower pace of life is more a case of, well, you don't have to rush to do stuff. You want to go to the water park this weekend or next weekend, it doesn't really make a difference. Whereas in the UK, it's like, you get that summer holiday August where everyone's got to go, you've got to do everything. You've got to see every single member of the family. Everyone's got a barbecue. Well. Yeah. Everyone's got to go and you've got to see all your mates at the weekend because you can't during the week because it's too busy. And here it's a little bit more like, well, you don't have to rush around because it's nice weather. You can go meet someone after work for a drink, or, you know, that's what I mean by it. And it's a little bit more relaxed from that point of view. Like no one's in a rush to be doing all these things. Whereas in the UK, I felt like you have to cram everything in. Like Christmas time, we were talking about before. If I went home at Christmas, I'd have to see 4 different sets of parents over the space of 5 days and be up and down the motorways all this time. It's stressful. Whereas here, there's just not that hectic pace to life here. I don't know. That's what I think anyway with it. I've noticed. Everything
is close by as well. So like pretty much you can get anywhere within half an hour. Like everything is within half an hour's drive. It's not like the UK, which is a positive and a negative, because I actually do like a UK drive going to a different city. Like in the UK, you can go travel 3 hours to this place, travel 5 hours, you're in fucking Scotland, whatever. Whereas here it's not. Everything's within half an hour. And so, and because it's within half an hour, nothing takes an age. You can just pop there, and it's just, it definitely is a lot more relaxed, I would say. And it could also be down to a cultural thing as well, potentially. It could be down to the type of person that might live and work here. Could be to do with that as well. I'm assuming that there's going to be fast-paced areas, so on and so forth. But where me and Dan are maybe 15, 20 minutes away from downtown, 15, 20 minutes away from the beach. We're in kind of a little community, villas, literally just chilled, relaxed, like just nice, idyllic, beautiful. But yeah, it is a different way of life for sure. I don't know whether I'd say better, because there's still elements of the UK that you miss. But there are a lot of positives, I think, that span what you think you would move to Dubai for.
I can see that. It's a lot broader than what people necessarily see from the outside looking in. The tax element's interesting because I think at the time of your moves, a lot of people were more annoyed about how their money was being spent than ever before, just based on how things were going during the pandemic. Tax is getting higher as well. Even in Scotland, it's actually even higher than in England just now with income tax. So I can certainly see the attraction of having more responsibility for what you earn and being able to keep more of it and apply it to reinvesting in your business to grow it and feel happier with that.
And the other as well, just on that, there's this other view that you just don't pay any tax in the UK. It's like we still pay tax in the UK. Like there's still elements of what you do. You're like, you still have to fill out a tax return. You still have to pay your tax in your own way. Like people think it's national like insurance. This. People think it's just this like free reign and like the national insurance stuff. Oh, it's easy for you, and it's like that really irks me because I'm like, you don't know like what happens.
But it is, quote unquote, easier because we've worked for it.
Exactly.
Like we spent how many years in the UK working. Like, so, the tax is a big thing. But like with a small business, you've really, really, really got a massive disadvantage. As soon as you go over fucking 84k, you've got a massive disadvantage to grow.
I genuinely wish, I think people have a different view of it. If everyone got paid their full wage and then had to pay their tax back, like you do when you're self-employed, I genuinely believe there would be a much different view of the whole system, what you pay for, this sort of stuff. Because people, when they get a pay rise, they go, oh yeah, I got an extra £200 a month. Well, no, you probably got paid £500 a month. You just got taxed a bit more. I genuinely feel like, and that's why I think self-employed people find it harder, is that you get given all your pay and then you have to give a good chunk of it back. Whereas most people don't. They just get given
there's more resentment.
They get given their net pay and they just see that and they don't see it. They see it on their pay slip and all this sort of stuff, but it's never really yours.
It's not as visceral because there's not the physical act of payment.
And I swear to God, if people had to do it that way around, they would think a lot more about, again, things like who they vote for, what they're spending their money on, and all this sort of stuff. They would 100%. It's quite painful, like getting paid everything and then giving it back.
And it's also a thing where it's like I also think that there's an element of if you're taking this argument, it's okay for you. Yeah, but there's not anything really stopping anybody else making the same moves. Like it's not like that. This is only for certain people to live here. It's like if you're bold enough, you're brave enough, you've worked hard enough to get yourself, like you say, there's big setup costs here. Like if you've worked hard enough to get yourself in that position and you want to move your family across and you want to take that gamble and that risk because it could not pay off. For example, you got to pay your rent here either for 6 months in advance or 12 months in advance, and it's not cheap. Like, so if you want to take that gamble, cool, it's available to you as well. Like, it's not. I've never had fucking anything handed to me. Like, dad's a lorry driver, mum's a cleaner. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But the fact that I've worked to get to this position where I can, you know, I'm grateful for it as well. Like, I've had luck move over here. Why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you experience it, try it out, see how you like it? Well, I'm not going to stay forever. I'll move back. But yeah, it's a strange thing. I think when people see other people doing what they perceived, I don't know, to be something, they don't necessarily know the whole thing.
Yeah. No, you only see what's surface level.
But, and then also you put the pieces together yourself based on your own life experiences. So people judge you based on what they assume has happened because of what they would do in their life, or if they got given an opportunity or whatever. And they'll never know. They'll never know the arguments you've had about deciding whether you should or shouldn't go, or when you get there, whether you were homesick for the first 3 months and wanted to move back, and whether your kid was settling well. They don't see that. They don't see that side of it. And, you know, and again, they're not going to, right? But it's, like I said, it's very easy. And I think in the day and age we live in with social media, YouTube, and like you said about Rob Lipsett, I think I would, years ago, I'd probably look at him and go, oh, it's easy for him, you know, all this sort of stuff. And now I would look at it very, very differently and I'd go, you can see the work he's put in. And even at the time, I kind of knew, but you're always a bit like, oh. Like another guy you've had on, TM Cycles, we both, when we were in our fitness days, we used to watch his YouTube channel, and we used to sort of, again, our demographic was a little bit just under his. Like, he was obviously the bodybuilders and steroids, and ours was just under that. So we used to kind of poke a little bit of fun at some of the stuff he said. But also from a way of respecting what he's done, in that he knows exactly who he's talking to. He knows exactly, and the effort and hard work he's put in is that you can see it and you can identify it. And again, like, I think a lot of people just don't see that in that. They look at us poking a bit of fun at some content that someone's done, and they go, oh, they're just taking the piss out of him. It's like, no. Taking the piss out of something that he said that doesn't relate to our niche. So we've kind of played on it, but you still respect the person.
That's allowed as well. That's something that I find so funny. Like, some people are beyond reproach. Like,
and it was that thing of, like, people used to think that we hated him. I'm like, no. I know what he's doing. He's very good at what he's doing. He's got a great business model, and we just know that it's not going to interfere with ours in any way, shape, or form. We're not going after people on steroids and putting them in members' site. We're after normal everyday Joes that want to get fitter. So it was like, no, it's fine. We can respect him as a business person, know what he's trying to do, and get the point of it.
But we can critique something he said, and that's absolutely fair game.
Exactly that, and still respect him. And that comes back to the whole thing with the move and stuff, is that people are so quick to judge it without actually going, oh, I bet they're actually all right people, though. They just made the decision to move. That's okay. I just think as you get that bit older and maybe that bit wiser, I don't know, more knowledgeable, you just see it a bit differently.
I think you get tarred with the brush as well of what usually somebody in fitness is like when they move here.
Yeah.
And it is
trains at Benoos.
Yeah. Boat parties.
Boat parties, Five Palm. Yeah. Like, I think you get tarred with that, oh, so that's what your life will be like. Yeah. No, it's just as boring as it was in the UK.
Yeah. There's just got a few more benefits. But gents, that's been an absolute pleasure. If people want to continue the conversation with you, where should they head towards?
Probably Instagram, but Dan Biceps Banter is what I am.
Mike Biceps Banter.
And then on YouTube we are Biceps and Banter.
Brilliant. That'll be linked in the show notes, guys. Thank you very much for hosting me here in the lovely studio at Poddster, and I'll be back to speak to you all again very, very soon.